it's all about relationships here. Is the relationships you build with your classmates. We're always forced to be talking to each other and learning from each other.
And I think that's what really makes this program unique. The quality of the people, but also the sense of a shared mission.
I think that the structures that they have built in place between the cooperating teachers, the supervisors, and the instructors and your peers, with all of those different networks to access, there's always someone to go to, and there's always multiple perspectives that are helping you make sense of this incredibly complex profession.
Okay, number one is very intense. So for someone thinking of coming to this program, they have to understand, like, you have to work hard. But I think that that's a good thing, right? Because people think that anyone can teach, but like, it's just not something that I wake up in the morning, I'm just gonna teach. Like, I'm sorry, like, that doesn't happen. Like, there's pedagogy, there's theory, there's practice, and STEP should be hard because teaching is hard.
There's so many things going on all the time, and you just have to be ready to take it as it comes. Like, you do have to be really, really flexible because that's just the nature of teaching, but having to balance like your curriculum work, your clinical work, everything is just like, I feel like I've worked the hardest I've ever worked in my life, but it's been rewarding.
Transformative, really. As smart as I felt coming in, I've been through so much, I've learned so much, and I really get a much better sense of how much more there is I get to learn in this profession, which is wild.
I think coming in here just as a student myself and learning about what it means to be a teacher, what it means to work with students, or what it means to talk about teaching and learning, I've just learned a lot, and I think even with my own students, just how to develop that curiosity in them.
I think this is a professional community where every day you're having 10 interesting conversations about something you don't know a lot about.
One thing, I feel silly saying this, but it took me all the way until I graduated from college and entered STEP to learn the word metacognition. And I feel like that's like all I talk about now, is how important it is to think metacognitively. In other words, being able to think about what's going on in your own head, how you're reasoning through things, taking a step back and kind of observing yourself. And that has really shaped the way I see my classroom.
I think that I'm going to take away the importance of reflecting on my work and on ways that I can keep improving to make learning really meaningful for my students.
And the neat thing about the reflective practice that we do at STEP is making us say, okay, what just happened here? Let me deconstruct that. I made 3,000 decisions in 3 minutes. What were the outcomes of those decisions?
As long as we are constantly reflecting on how to be effective educators, we're also reflecting on how to be effective human beings.
Before this program, I don't think that I knew what it meant to be a Latina educator. And I think being placed in a classroom where I saw myself mirrored in the students and the students saw themselves mirrored through me, I think that I got a better sense of what it means to be a Latina educator and how I could integrate that, and like how that's very much integrated into the mission that I have as a teacher.
Before I entered STEP, I thought, it was about being entertaining, and it was about being funny, it was about keeping the students awake as much as possible. Now that I am leaving STEP, I've come to realize it's about the students, it's about student empowerment, it's about creating a community so that students can actualize their power within themselves.
I think not just STEP, I think about teaching as a whole, and for me it's just students. I started this process thinking it was going to be about me, and I am now, a year later, realizing that it really, I'm such a small piece of the whole part that it really is about my students. And students are amazing and they're phenomenal and they're such crazy smart people that I love working with students every single day.
It's not just like having a generic relationship with students, but also like thinking about like how can I support my students, like how can I be there for them, not just at an academic level, but also at a personal level. I think that's something that I'm taking away.
Creating curriculum so that it connects with your students and getting to know your students well enough so that they can connect with the curriculum, I think is one of the richest takeaways from STEP this year.
I was placed into a clinical placement. The school that I student taught at caught fire in my heart, and I've been teaching there ever since. And I never would have found the charter school movement, never would have found that school without STEP. I also think STEP gave me such a firm foundation to not just believe every kid can learn, because I think any teacher can say that, but how to help reach every kid in your classroom by making them work together, by figuring out where they're coming from developmentally. And that stuff I really thought about just going straight into teaching through an emergency credential or through any of the really respectable teacher programs that are out there that just allow you to go in the classroom. And I am so thankful every day that I waited to learn how to do my craft, and STEP gave me those tools.